Okay, there we are. We are live. How's everyone doing out there tonight? We take a few minutes here just to
seconds.
Let some folks, yeah, that's right. A couple seconds, let people start to load in. First few seconds, not much is going on. Okay, how's everyone doing out there tonight?
Hello. How are you?
Rough day, some just crazy stuff going on, but we are here as usual every Wednesday night from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We are located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, on the East Coast of the United States. We are celebrating our 25th year doing immigration law, and we are super proud of that. And we come here every Wednesday from 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock, and we're also on TikTok. Hello, everyone out there on TikTok.
Hey, guys.
And we give you immigration updates, let you know what's going on in the immigration world that may affect you, or a case you're about to file, or maybe a case that you have pending. And of course, we're always available if you want to reach out to us. We'd be happy to represent you. We're going to give you our contact information throughout the night. And we also like to answer your questions. Honestly, that's what we end up doing mostly during these live streams, is answering your questions. So if you have questions, please get them posted. You can post them on Facebook or through YouTube. You can also, if you're in TikTok, obviously you're going to post them on TikTok there, and we will get to them, as we go, and we take them in the order that they come in. So get them posted fast. That increases the chances that we will get to answer your questions. I do want to warn you that what we do here is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not legal advice. So don't take anything that we say based on an answer to your question and then go take some sort of legal action based on that. If you wanted,
why is that?
If you want to do that, you need to become one of our clients.
Well, why isn't this legal advice?
The reason it's not legal advice is because immigration law is very complex. And in fact, all areas of law are pretty complex, but immigration is especially complex. And
the most complex.
Yeah,
the most complex.
Yeah, tax law, patent law, and immigration. I'm going to put those in the top tiers of complexity. But the main reason is because we can't possibly give you a full answer based on the limited information that we're getting. So you're asking us a question. We can sort of generalize, and based on the snippet that you're providing, we tell you some things that we think may be of help. But obviously, if you want us to represent you, then we would do a deep dive into your case. We would really, really make sure that we had every fact, every detail, that we had researched every legal avenue, and only then would we decide the best way to proceed with your case. But that's a whole different thing. That's where we have all of the information. This is just sort of general, questions and answers that are just tip of the iceberg. Okay, that's why we cannot give out legal advice. And in fact, no lawyer can. So if you are on any kind of a live stream or a podcast and a lawyer is giving you legal advice, then you should be concerned, because that's an ethics violation, no matter what state they're practicing in.
Yep. And we've got some immigration updates today. And we are, as John mentioned, we are going to be answering questions throughout, and we love answering the questions. Do you want to do immigration update, or you want to grab a quick question first?
Yeah, I mean, the immigration update, I had this Supreme Court case that I was going to delve into, and then I decided a few minutes ago with Radlin's advice as well that that really wasn't a very good use of our time. You all didn't come here tonight to hear me read snippets of a Supreme Court case or any of the dissenting opinion or anything like that. Bottom line is
maybe another time.
Yeah, maybe another time. But the general takeaway is that this case out in Los Angeles, where there have been these raids at various workplaces, it's captured a lot of news. A federal judge out there entered an injunction to enjoin ICE from doing what they were doing. The case was appealed up to the Supreme Court, and the bottom line is, in a 6-3 decision, the court did stay the injunction. What that means is they said that ICE is allowed to continue doing what they've been doing. There was a lot of reporting on it, and some of the reporting, God bless reporters for what they do, but some of their facts were a little off, and some of the things I was reading didn't seem quite right. And that's why I pulled the actual case. I read the whole thing. It's interesting. It's a lot of legal analysis, a lot of legal jargon. It gets into a lot of things that don't mean much for most folks out there, like balancing of equities and precedent and standing, and how broad or limited an injunction can be based on certain lines of case law, especially that have come out recently. So I'm going to pass on getting into all the details, but just so you know, that situation in Los Angeles is going forward. We have clients in California. We have clients all over the country and all over the world. So, if you're out in California, specifically in Los Angeles, just be aware that that's the situation here. All right.
Well, I mean, what is the situation? We didn't really talk about.
Well, the situation.
What's the case?
Well, what the case involves is ICE agents basically going out, and they are questioning folks, and there's been a lot of controversy about the way that they've been doing it and whether it constitutes profiling. And what the court ultimately said was that the factors that they're using are factors that by themselves would not be enough. They would be Fourth Amendment violations. But in the totality of the circumstances, ICE can do what they've been doing, and that the factors that were enjoined by the federal judge in Los Angeles, that those were only some of the factors and not all of the factors, and that when ICE agents are using all of the factors to decide whether there's reasonable suspicion that somebody may be in the country unlawfully, that they are allowed to briefly detain them and question them. The reason this case became controversial is because there have been instances where folks who were U.S. citizens were getting sucked up in this, being questioned and even detained for brief periods, and sometimes 20, 30 minutes. And that's why the whole thing has sort of captured the national attention. And the fact that they're just, roaming raids, I think, has been a little unnerving for a lot of folks, not necessarily just people that are in the country unlawfully, but just anyone for that matter. And the court, they did their best to clarify that, that something like ethnicity alone would not be sufficient, but that there were a lot of factors involved, and that they were confident that ICE was using all of the factors. And they really went to pains to point out that they're a court. So if anybody wants to be bashing the Supreme Court or the federal judge who issued the injunction, depending on where you stand on this issue, the court, they're trying to emphasize that they are not in charge of immigration policy. They're just trying to call balls and strikes. They're trying to just weigh what's in front of them. Is it the way they would do it? Maybe not, maybe, depending on who you ask. And not surprisingly, the split was the split that it often is in most of these cases. It was a 6-3 decision, with the 6 conservative justices siding with lifting the injunction, and the 3 liberal justices dissenting and saying that they would have kept the injunction in place, that they thought it amounted to just straight up racial profiling. So that's what the case was about, and that's where it currently stands.
Yes, and because this is the law of the land currently, our tip this evening is to make sure if you are going through the process, we've been saying this since day one of this administration, is please carry your documents with you and make sure that they're all in order. You can have them on your phone. You can have them as piece of paper. It's tough to carry paper, and nobody has paper anymore, but have everything on your phone, or have them in the glove compartment of your car. You need to be safe out there. And that is for people who are going through the process, and for people who are US citizens who, you may be in these areas. I think one of the quotes was low wage positions, right? You may be working alongside in these quote unquote low wage positions. And if you're a US citizen, then you should have some documentation that you are a US citizen if you don't want to get caught in the dragnet. Now, it does pain me to say this, that a US citizen, sometimes, born in the United States, whether you're born or naturalized, that yes, if you are working in these areas if you are speaking with an accent, if you are Latino, then yes, you may want to carry your US passport with you or your birth certificate to show that you were born in the United States if you fall under these factors. So our advice, and this is advice, but not legal advice, it's a recommendation, is to please protect yourself, guys. I know that none of you out there who tune in, I know that none of you want to be in this position. And, again, I think about the people who actually have, they might have the luxury of saying, hey, no, I am knowing that I'm a US citizen. I'm not going to show any of my documents. Take it to where it may go. You guys don't want to do that. Okay. And so if you have documentation, show it. If you don't have documentation, if you are undocumented, remember your rights, right? You don't have to answer any questions. You can ask them if you are free to leave. Are you under arrest? Am I free to leave? And you don't have to say anything. So always remember that. Anyhow, it's, it as John mentioned, it has caused sort of a lot of controversy, and we're not going to get into that. What we are here for is to answer your questions and give you recommendations for things that are going to help you and strategies that are going to help you. We're not going to politicize this and make it about this or make it about that. It's just about you guys being careful and making sure that you are protected, and listen to creators out there who are providing solutions, who are helping, and not necessarily just, talking about whether this is right or wrong. That's a very useful discourse and debate in this country is very, it's part of our culture, right? It's part of what makes us the United States of America, which is why the shooting of this one creator is so disturbing. No matter what your political views are, this country was built on discourse and arguments and debates, but we don't go and shoot the people that we may disagree with. It goes into a whole lot of other things. The
Right.
whole gun thing is an issue. I mean, don't get me started. Charlie Kirk was not the only person who was shot today. 2 other students were killed. Not killed, I'm sorry. They were shot and are in critical condition at another high school. So it's crazy.
Yeah,
As John said, it is a crazy day, but
we're just
we're
trying
here
to
to
point
serve you.
out that, I think that, we're what, 7 months in now, 8 months in, 9 months in, to a lot of the changes that have happened. And as immigration lawyers, at least I am trying to resist the temptation to be sort of just outraged or upset or think some things are controversial or not controversial, and try instead to focus on, what is the law that we're dealing with and how do we best represent our clients to get through it. Our job is to find out what is the playing field that we're on and how do we navigate it. And that's what we are going to do. And so when Supreme Court cases come out, rather than, raging against, like I said, against the court, one way or the other, I'm not taking a stand on any of this one way or the other personally. I'm just saying that as a lawyer, as an immigration law firm, we need to make sure that we are putting our clients' best interest first and foremost. And we do that by knowing what the rules are at any given moment and making sure that we're always doing what's in our clients' best interest, because that's what we have a duty to do, is to represent our clients to the best of our ability. And that means we got to stay on top of all of this. And that's why we do. We scan this stuff every single day to see what changes are happening. We have meetings in our office every day to go over even tiny little things, that change. So we make sure that we're on top of it. And, what you do personally is totally up to you. I've got no qualms. That's right. We have a rich history of debate in this country, and I hope that it continues forever. I really do.
I mean, it is just one more thing. It is sad for me to text my kids and I say, look, this is why I don't want you going to these protests, right? Because they're dangerous and they can be dangerous. But a part of me, my heart breaks a little bit because, again, we have a rich history in the United States of protesting, but I don't want them to go, and I don't want them to get involved, because these are dangerous places where, no, we can't just have a civil discourse, and it can even be uncivil, right? Throw a chair at the person. I don't know, but it's over the top. Anyhow, let's answer some questions.
Let's answer some questions.
No more of that.
Yeah. All right. Question.
I think the lighting is good.
Yeah. No,
what do you guys think? The lighting's good. Yeah, we changed the lighting a little bit. All right.
I think it's fine.
We have a bunch of questions, and I saw them popping up for some reason. I can read them today.
Yeah, the first question that came up here said, "Hi, I'm recently divorced 2 weeks ago. I have my green card. What happens next if I'm no longer married?"
So sorry to hear about your divorce. Even when people are excited about getting divorced and are ready to be done with their marriage, it's still a huge life change. So I'm sorry that that happened to you, but
nobody gets married expecting to get divorced.
Yeah, absolutely. So this person is divorced 2 weeks ago. They have their green card, and what's going to happen now that they are divorced? So, well, the one question I have is, do you have your conditional resident card? I would say that this person probably has their 10-year green card, because I think that they would have said that, hey, I have a 2-year green card. So let's assume this person has 10-year green card. If you are now divorced and you got your green card through your spouse, and you have your 10-year green card and the conditions have been removed, there's really nothing that you need to do. If you apply for U.S. citizenship, then and you got divorced, you would have to pursue the longer route to citizenship, which is waiting 5 years, versus doing it 3 if you're married to a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years and living with that U.S. citizen. So if you have your 10-year card and you are divorced, there's really nothing else that you have to do. A lot of people will ask, oh, can I remain here, or can I get my citizenship when it's time, even though I'm no longer married to the person that petitioned for me? And the answer is probably so, but you do have to check dates. You have to take a look at, if you got that conditional resident card, and did you remove the conditions on the green card, and following all the steps as far as the time that it takes to apply for U.S. citizenship. The only thing is, again, if you were thinking about applying early for U.S. citizenship in the 3-year period, you have to wait for the 5-year period. The other thing that I want to add here that you all have to really be careful, it's something that comes up very frequently, is the date of divorce and also the date of separation. So sometimes we will look at a case and we'll see, okay, this person wants to apply for U.S. citizenship. And then we see that the date of separation and around the date of divorce is around the same time that they would have received their green card, their permanent resident card, and sometimes even before, not the date of divorce, but the date of separation. And this is happening, right? You get your permanent resident card, and marriage breaks down. You file for divorce. In some states, if you are, if you don't have any children, then you can get a divorce after waiting for 6 months. And there may be a temptation to speed up that 6 months, right? Like, oh, we're not going to wait for the 6 months. Let's just say that we were divorced 4 months ago. That way we can get this divorce going. Now you have to be careful with that, because when did you get your green card? When you put that date of separation, is that around the same time that you were getting your permanent resident card? Is that when your permanent resident card came in the mail, if you didn't have to go to an interview? So these are the things that you guys have to think about when you are, looking at the date of separation. And that's something that the client will tell their divorce attorney. Okay, like, when did you get separated? They say, okay, you have to be separated for a year or 6 months. When did you get separated? Oh, like 9 months ago, because you want to get that divorce quickly, right? So just be careful with that. That's my, there are a lot of caveats, but for this particular situation, you have a 10-year card, you're divorced, you got your green card from your ex-spouse, you should be good to go. but with those caveats.
Okay, we have a question down here.
Yes, Rosalie says, hi, as always, I thank you both for always educating us on regards to immigration. You are very welcome. That's a very cute puppy. Is that a puppy? Yeah. Or is that a?
I'm not sure.
Is that a tarsier?
It's a dog. I don't think it's a puppy though. I'm not sure.
My question is, filing citizenship online much faster / better, or sending via USPS? So Rosalie, congratulations on wanting to apply for US citizenship. If you, it sounds like you're going to self-file your case, I highly recommend that you at least have a consultation with us to make sure that filing for citizenship is the right thing for you.
Yes.
You're going through the process, so I'm presuming that it is the right thing for you. You got to make sure that you're checking all those boxes correctly, though, right? So in our practice, we do file citizenship online, and that's the only thing we file online, because that is the first thing that was available for online filing. And man, let me tell you, when it first got released, or when it was first available, I should say, what a mess it was. and it is now very streamlined. It's fine. It's fine to file it online. Again, it's the only thing that we file online if we can help it, because the other forms are not as good. So I hopefully that answers your question, Rosalie. Good luck. Reach out to us if you need any help. I highly recommend that you do.
Especially these days.
Yeah,
no question about it.
Especially these days.
And like Radlin said, even if you do decide that, look, you have it in your head that you don't want to hire a lawyer to help you with it, I think that's a bad choice. But it's a free world. You do that if that's what you want to do.
Free country.
But at the very least, you should schedule a consultation with us to make sure that it's something that is going to be a good outcome for you, because there are a lot of situations where you may decide that you want to naturalize, and it's actually going to put you in a worse position. It's going to cause you harm, and you don't want that to happen. So at least let us vet it and make sure, this is a good idea for you to do this.
Yep.
And then, of course, once you meet us and talk to us, I know you'll hire us. That's
it's a trap.
Yeah, I mean, but you really should, because we have seen cases in the past, not that we represented from the beginning, but folks who come to us once they're in a bind because they decided that they were going to file something, not knowing that they were walking right into a trap because of something in their history that caused a problem for them. So we want to first make sure that you really are eligible and that you don't have, a little hidden bomb ready to blow up in your face. Okay.
That sounds really scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we've seen some terrible things.
Yeah.
We had a question here on TikTok. Do you do practice interview questions?
We do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We prep our clients on all different types of immigration processes that they're going through. If there's any kind of interview that's going to be taking place, you will go into that interview fully prepped. I promise you.
Yep, absolutely. So for all of, there are a lot of people out there that self-file their immigration cases. And I will quote, and I don't know who said this, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. That said, for those of you who are self-filing, I would, especially if you're doing N400, if you're doing a marriage adjustment, there are a lot of forms with the marriage adjustment, the N400. For the N400, I would have one of your friends sit across from you and ask you every single question on that application. And that goes for every interview that you're going to have to attend. Make sure you know what the questions are going to be.
Yeah. I don't know if it originated here, but I know the quote from the original Jurassic Park, and this is the ethicist who's
that's what it is.
He's at Jurassic Park, and they're telling him how they've been cloned and recreated these dinosaurs, and he says, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
A Jurassic Park quote.
Yeah. I mean,
We're not even Jurassic Park.
He might have been quoting somebody else. I think it was
we
Jeffrey
watched
Goldberg.
we watched the first one, the first and only.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Here's a question. We don't do removal work. That's one thing that we do not do.
But what's the question?
But we can take a stab at this. Could you
Oh, yeah.
cover the situation, because we do know a little bit about
Yep.
this going on with bail, and is habeas corpus a strategy?
Yeah, habeas corpus is a strategy. So right now, the Board of Immigration Appeals, well, not right now, but it was Friday, on Friday, the Board of Immigration Appeals basically stated that immigration judge does not have jurisdiction to redetermine a bond that has been set by ICE. If it's a no bond situation, they have no jurisdiction to do a bond redetermination hearing for people who have entered the United States without inspection. So it doesn't matter how long you've lived in the United States. If you entered without inspection, that means you did not present to a Customs and Border Protection officer a visa, passport, a border crossing card, got paroled in, then you, well, not, and there are some exceptions to that, then you cannot get a bond hearing with an immigration judge. This is a pretty devastating ruling for truly millions of people who are in the United States undocumented. So there could be a scenario where somebody who had entered EWI, entered without inspection 25 years ago, who is picked up by ICE randomly, right? Wrong place, wrong time. They are picking up everyone, not just people who have committed crimes. They're picking up everyone. If they come across you and ICE doesn't give you a bond, this person who may have a steady job, who has worked in his position for 15, 20 years, and we've seen this, have US citizen children, have a spouse, but for one way or another, was not able to get their status legalized here in the United States, they can be held. And what will happen is that they can be held until they send this person back to their country. So filing habeas could assist with that. I know that the courts are there. We definitely are going to see a lot of that happening. And we don't do this type of work, but if you need assistance with that, then you can give us a call and we can make a couple of referrals. We do have colleagues in the DMV DMV area that do this. We're part of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. And so if we need an attorney that handles something that's very specialized like this, then we can refer you. So that's a really good question. And hopefully it's not something that you need or someone that you love. You wouldn't be needing, I guess, if you're asking this question on TikTok. Yeah.
Okay. Kias has a question. I have a question. They approved my husband's I-130 this year.
Okay.
And his 6 steps. When do you think the interview will be?
I'm not sure. Like, it really. So I'm going to say that assume this is a consular processing case. I can do both, but if you filed an I-130, because you filed an I-130, you don't mention anything about filing the green card application, I'm going to make the assumption that your husband is outside of the United States and you're going through consular processing. So if the I-130 petition is approved, if you're talking about 6 steps, I'm not sure what you're talking about when you refer to that. Yeah, but if you're talking about National Visa Center processing and you're done with National Visa Center processing, then the next step is your husband is going to be scheduled for an interview at the U.S. Embassy in the country where he is from or where he lives, if he has a valid visa in that country. I can't tell you how long it's going to be because it really depends on the country. So, Ciudad Juarez is a really long time. I mean, you could be waiting up to a year for that interview. And it just depends on the country. So if they are from a country in Europe, then that's not going to take as long. Say if you your spouse is from a country like Juarez, an African country, Manila's taking longer, Sao Paulo. Those are places where it's going to take a really long time. So it's hard to say.
Okay, we got some good questions going on tonight.
Evelina, hello, Evelina. The form to fill out for citizenship waiver for low income, I believe, I'm not too sure about that, but I think it's on the actual form, but I'm not sure. I know that there is the waiver, but there's also something else on the N400 where you can get a lower fee, but I'm not sure what that is. I don't want to guess. We don't do too many.
Yeah.
I mean, our managing attorney would know the answer to that because she did that as a I believe it's in law clerk, a lot of waivers for filing fees.
Okay, so we're at the 30-minute mark, halfway point. And so at the halfway point, I always like to reintroduce ourselves because a lot of people come in late. If you're just joining us, my name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Ratlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza, celebrating our 25th year, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Been at this for a bit, as they say these days, right? If you want to contact us, our phone number is 757-464-9224 or info@gmlaw.net.
If you want to send us an email, and you can also click on our bio and reach out to us through the bio links in TikTok and also on Facebook and Messenger. So we monitor that fairly closely. If no one does call you back, I do want to know about that.
Yeah.
Or get back in touch with you, but that doesn't really happen very often.
No. Okay, Alan wants to know, is it normal for my I-485, I-130 status to remain on case received and receipt notice sent for 65 days?
Yeah, it is. So one thing is that if this is a marriage-based adjustment of status, they're going pretty quickly. So I hope that happens for you too, Alan. But 65 days, I wouldn't worry about the notifications necessarily.
Yeah, and this is a reminder that we were talking about at the beginning. Just some of the news. Despite everything you see in the news, the immigration offices are open, and they are still processing. I don't want anyone to get the impression that somehow immigration is shut down right now. It is not. For most standard cases, everything is just kind of business is not as usual, but certainly cases are
still doing business.
Still doing business. We're filing stuff every day. We're getting approvals every day, getting people naturalized every day. So give us a call, and it's just the caution is that things are a lot tighter right now in certain areas, and there are some things that have changed in the last few months. And so we want to make sure that you are aware of those things.
Yeah. You know who's shutting down? USCIS is not shutting down. Who's shutting down? I'll tell you who's shutting down. You guys are shutting down. Did you know I was going to say that?
I did.
You guys are the ones that are shutting down. You guys are the ones that are afraid to file. You guys are the ones that are sitting on your N400 applications and you're afraid to file. The fact of the matter is that it may be tougher, right, if you wait. With the N400s, for those of you who didn't file when we told you to file back in January, you're now going to have to, get good moral character letters. And if you don't, then the officer is going to be paying a visit to your neighborhood and asking your neighbors. So that's in the works right now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And if you have a case that, is a case that's going to require a long wait, I mean, we all know that some of these immigration cases take years. So, I mean, is you're thinking that you're going to wait out this administration, you're going to lose 4 years of time that could have been passing in your case. And like I said, I promise you, if you come and talk to us and hire us to represent you, we're not going to lead you astray. If something is going to be a problem, we're going to let you know. And if we think it's a pause this for now,
Yeah. And,
then we will
right.
tell you that. We will certainly tell you that, hey, you know what? Right now, this is not a good idea. Maybe wait a couple of years and we'll see how things are. That's typically not the case because we know how to do it. But if that is the case,
And there are other options
then
as
we'll
well.
let you know. Yeah, and there may be other options as well.
Right. There are more than a few N400s in our office, where if this person would have filed the N400 during this time period, this would have been a problem, right? With the new way that they're looking at the totality of the circumstance. I mean, is that, do they use totality of circumstances?
Yeah, it's been coming up.
The Supreme Court also uses the totality of circumstances.
It's been coming up a lot. Yeah.
So you would just be really wise in order, to make sure that your case is going to go as smoothly as possible. Guys, they're putting armed immigration officers, they're training armed immigration officers at USCIS. I'm not talking about ICE people. I'm talking about USCIS immigration officers who are going to have a sidearm to intimidate you, right? And you read this in the news and you're like, oh, I'm not going to file my citizenship. I'm not going to petition for my spouse right now. That has nothing to do with any of this. If you're committing fraud, or if you have committed fraud, yeah, I agree with you. You probably shouldn't, right? But if that is the case, come talk to us. Immigration lawyers like us, we've heard it all. Don't be embarrassed. A lot of people might be embarrassed to come forward and say, yeah, I've got this problem. But anyhow, just don't be the holdup in your own case. It's so true that procrastination gets the best of us. But when you guys procrastinate, there are terrible consequences. So get on it if you need to get on it. All right. So should we grab Mike, or is this?
Yeah,
do we go?
We got two questions here on Facebook. We've been taking a lot from TikTok. Let's shift gears here.
All right. Mike says, if your spouse, in the military, thank you for your service. Is that military?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Looks like Navy. I think. I can't see it.
Go Navy. If it's not Navy, sorry.
Yeah.
if you're, I'm always go Navy. So love other branches of service, but Navy. So I have a Navy sweatshirt.
You do.
Yeah, I think it came from the thrift store, but I don't know where it came from.
Your father was in the Navy. So
but he didn't buy it. It's not his. If your spouse, I think one of our kids did, if your spouse goes back to her home country for 6 months or less, are you required to report this to USCIS? No, you don't have to report that to USCIS. But don't let this become a habit. And if your spouse is eligible for U.S. citizenship, she should apply, or they should apply. All right.
Yeah. For those
great question, though, Mike.
For those of you who are not familiar with the geography here, we are in Virginia Beach, which is right next to Norfolk. It's kind of the same area, and Norfolk is still the largest, I think, Navy base, U.S.
naval
Navy
installation,
in the world. So U.S. Navy. So we have a lot of. You can't be in our area for, more than an hour and not run into somebody who's in the Navy.
Or has been in the Navy.
That's
See? Retired Navy. Yeah, right.
All right.
Fantastic. Lily says, good afternoon from Tucson, Arizona. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. So glad that you're here.
Yeah, Tucson, Flying W Ranch out there. I've been to Tucson, to the ranch, and we've been out there for a couple of things. Yeah. And there's, made famous.
We drove through.
I went from Tucson, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma.
We're seeing now.
Okay. Sorry, guys. That was the entertainment portion.
All right. Let's grab. Stop.
No. Okay.
Let's grab a question from TikTok.
Okay. Married to U.S. citizen and work unauthorized would affect green card app after saying no on the I-485.
So working without authorization, this person is married to a U.S. citizen, and this person has worked without authorization, without permission, while here in the United States. Let's just assume this person came in on a B1, B2 tourist visa, got married to a U.S. citizen, and during that time period has worked without permission. So the question is, and it's a great question, is this going to be a problem on my green card application? I checked no on the box. Have you ever worked without authorization? That box should be checked yes if you've worked without authorization. All of the boxes should be checked yes. Any of the boxes should be checked yes if in fact it does apply to you. So number one thing here is do not make any misrepresentations on your applications. And if you have someone who is advising you in any manner and they suggest or recommend that you lie on your applications, don't take advice from that person, because a lot of times people will check the box no when it actually does apply to them. Like, have you ever overstayed? You check no, maybe they're going to know you've overstayed, right? But it's not consequential to the outcome of the case. It doesn't negatively impact the case. It depending on the type of case it is. So going back to working without authorization, you're married to a U.S. citizen. Working without authorization is forgiven in this scenario. And during your interview, your application, guys, is still open until you go and go for an interview. Right now, everybody's going to interview, so you will be going to an interview. Before, once the immigration officer swears you in, and when that officer starts asking you questions on the I-485, you need to say, I need to make a correction on my I-485. I need to check yes for X. Or you can get to that question where you've checked no, but I always do it at the very beginning, right? I mean, and you kind of have to see how the interview is going, but you can make that correction. You can make any corrections up until the time of your interview. And I recommend that you do so. Working without authorization should not negatively impact unless they do change the rules of the game before your interview. And that actually could happen too. So I don't know where you live, but I highly recommend that all of you, if you've self-filed your case and you have an interview as part of your process, hire, please, an immigration attorney to go to that interview with you. I don't care if the lawyer charges $2,500, $30, it doesn't matter, right? You want to have an advocate that is sitting there, that is going to be hearing all the things that are going to be asked of you. And you just need to have an attorney at your interview, just full stop.
Right. I mean, ask yourself, what amount of money are you willing to pay to ensure success in your immigration case? I mean, it should be a pretty high number. You're worth it.
Yeah, and not only that, but just think about just the consequences if something goes awry, right? You didn't mean to say that, or it's hard to. You just need to do it. Just trust us. The interview is one of the most important things of your immigration case.
Yeah,
and right, the interview could potentially make or break. It could be the deciding factor. And why would you not want to go with an immigration attorney to go to this interview with you? Who's willing to go with you at a small cost, right? And I know that small is relative, but think about if your case didn't get approved, how much would that cost you if you're really worried about the money part, right? Don't you can't think about it in terms of dollars only. You have to think about it in terms of value and what you would be losing if things didn't go well. And also the peace of mind that going with an attorney is going to give you. All right, enough of that. Let's answer some more questions.
Yeah, we skipped Tony over here. Well, we didn't skip him. He had the next question there.
Tony says, how would a temporary personal protective order that lasts for 7 days and was withdrawn affect a K-1 petition? It can negatively affect a K-1 petition. We'd really have to get into that and see what the court documents say, because this is something that is actually asked on the K-1. So with K-1 visas and visa petitions, the reason for these questions is really to protect the fiance. And not to be sexist, it's usually a woman, right? It's this our paternalistic nation, whatever, and they want to put these things in place to make sure that, hey, if this person has any type of background like this, that could be domestic violence, violating a protective order. So there's no violation here. It's just a protective order that was put into place. So that's obviously a lot better than a violation of a protective order. But yeah.
Yeah, and I would have a follow-up question. Where is this, and what were the circumstances for the protective order in Virginia, for example? There's automatically a temporary protective order issued anytime there's a domestic assault and battery case, and you don't have to be married. You just have to be a couple. Even if you're engaged, you're living together, then you're going to possibly be, or not possibly, you're going to be in the domestic relations court. And so I'm curious if there was a charge that went along with this protective order, and when you say withdrawn, was it drawn automatically because
7 days passed?
Because 7 days passed, or was it withdrawn because the person who received the protective order went to court and said that, or somehow had it withdrawn? So I don't know. Those are my follow-up questions.
Mm-hmm.
If there's more going on with the criminal part of this than just the protective order.
Great. Hopefully that answers your question,
Tony. And maybe it involves somebody totally different. I mean, protective orders can be issued in all kinds of cases for all kinds of reasons. It could have been a coworker for all I know.
Could have been the neighbor.
Could have been a neighbor.
Because of a tree.
But typically, usually there's, like I said, there's an assault and battery charge. There's an automatic protective order that gets issued to let everyone calm down. Then the protective order is terminated.
Yeah, and let me just, I want to go back to my original statement. If you are a foreign national man who is the beneficiary of a fiancé visa petition, then your petitioner also, if your petitioner is a woman, is going to have to reveal these things. Just because they're a woman doesn't mean they don't have to reveal these things. I just want to make sure that this also applies. So, but typically what we've seen is the fiancé to ease is a woman. Not always the case, but that's typical. And protecting a woman. All right. Next question.
So SG up here wanted to know, do you know how long green card renewals are taking?
I-90s. So if we're talking about an I-90, yes, those I don't know offhand, but they can take over 6 months, sometimes even up to a year. Once you file an I-90, you are going to have an automatic. Well, the receipt notice is going to automatically extend your permanent resident card. So that once you file that I-90, that should protect you at least for, I believe it auto extends it for 24 months. Okay. All right.
And Facebook quiet tonight. We got all TikTok. That's okay.
That's okay.
TikTok is in the driver's seat tonight.
Like 2 weeks ago, Facebook just blipped off and we were just doing TikTok, which was kind of fun.
So the question here is, hi, can I petition my siblings older than 21 to come to the U.S.?
Oh, yes, Palava. Yes, you can. You can petition for your siblings. That's the good news. The bad news, it takes a really long time. Really long time. So file the petition. File the I-130 petition. Your siblings, if you're asking these questions, they may not have any other way of immigrating to the United States. It sounds like you want your siblings to be with you, and so you all can be together as a family. It is going to take a long time, but file the petition. The time will pass.
This is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to wait until Trump is out of office, and then I'll get this going.
File the petition.
And you're going to lose the 3 years that between now and then.
Right. And one thing about cases taking a really long time, I'm pulling up the visa bulletin real quick. One thing about cases taking a really long time is that when you see that a fourth preference category case, visas are not going to be available for, what is 25 minus 8? 17 years in all countries.
Okay, that's good, Tony. I like that. That's good news. I like that more.
19 years from India, 24 years Mexico, 19 years Philippines. You hear these numbers and you're just like, oh my gosh. Do you know when I tell people about the wait times for fourth preference and, for that matter, third preference category, I hate doing that. The jaw drops. They're just, the people can't believe it. Just file it, right? I mean, 17 years. John and I opened our law firm 25 years ago. I cannot believe that we are 25 years older than when we opened this law firm. I mean, I am 50 and older at this point because we opened our law firm 25 years ago. We've been married for 27 years. The time will pass. File the petition, even if it's going to take a long time, if there are no other opportunities. So guys, I'm sorry to say that fourth preference categories is so long, but it is what it is. I mean, it could get shortened. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. It's not legal advice. Remember, what we do here is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Sorry, I didn't mean to. You were answering the question, and I was telling Tony I like that more. I like that there was no criminal charge
for sure
attached to it. Okay, Eric wants to know, I'm traveling abroad, coming back October. Can we file our I-130 and I-485 and can still travel next year?
So I'm traveling abroad. Ooh. Okay, so let's just jump right into this question. This question is perhaps a question about, will we get the advanced parole? So when we come back, can I file the I-130 and I-45 advanced parole work authorization? Are we going to be able to travel next year? Let's just talk about next year being 365 days from the time that you file. Yes, because the applicant will most likely get that advanced parole within 4 to 6 months after filing the I-130, I-45, I-131, and the work authorization, the 765 and the 864. So yes, most likely, but of course, no guarantees. I don't know who's traveling abroad and coming back to file the I-130 and I-45. Eric, if it's you and you are the U.S. citizen petitioner, fine. If it's the beneficiary who is leaving the country while they're still here and then coming back into the United States on a tourist visa, a B1, B2, and the plan is to file the I-130, I-45, that is impermissible, number one. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but you cannot have the intent to get your green card when you're entering the United States on a tourist visa. I don't know if that's what you're doing. Maybe this person also, maybe it's an F1. I mean, it's still the same. There's a, it's not a dual intent visa. F1s, B1, B2s, not dual intent visa. So be careful. Be very careful. If you're leaving and coming back in, you don't want to lie about the reason why you're coming back into the United States, and it just makes things very complicated. Can make things complicated. I have no idea what your scenario is. You can make an appointment with me. We can talk about it and make sure that you're not doing something that is going to lead to a denial of your fiance, your girlfriend, boyfriend entering the United States. That would be devastating, right? So give us a call, 757-464-9224. I think John mentioned this, that we are located in Virginia Beach, Virginia, but because we are immigration attorneys and immigration law firm, we can represent people in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you are in the United States, we can represent you because immigration law is federal law.
Right.
We're lucky, aren't we?
We are lucky. Yeah.
It's great practice.
Yeah, and we do. We have clients all over the place. We just actually got an amazing review just a couple of days ago.
Should we read it? It's kind of long.
Nah, it's
long. It's so good though.
For one of our attorneys and our whole team actually, and it was one of our clients who's out in Seattle. And so it's very cool. The chosen one here would like to know,
is that our buddy?
when USCIS conducts background checks for an N400,
Yeah.
Will it reveal if an LPR had unlawfully voted?
Ooh, that's a real problem.
That's not a good
That's
situation.
a real problem. Okay, so when they do background checks, as far as I know, I don't know the answer to the question. I don't believe so. However, one of the questions on the N400 application is, have you ever registered to vote or voted in any federal election? Now, prior to this administration, and not even, I mean, all right, this is a problem, right? And the problem is that people have been led to believe that they can register to vote as permanent residents. And it typically happens at the DMV when you're getting your driver's license.
Be careful at the DMV. That's where they're just pushing everyone to register to vote. You know, it's a voter registration drive, essentially. So
when you register to vote, you know, you're not really reading. I mean, you should read everything. I mean, you're a permanent resident. You should read everything. A U.S. citizen should also read everything. I mean, sometimes I don't read things, but you are saying that you are eligible to vote. You're checking the, you know, you are a U.S. citizen. It's a false claim to U.S. citizenship. And if you apply for naturalization in the 5 years that you've done that, it can get denied because you're not a person because you voted, right? Or registered to vote. An even bigger problem, guys, with this right now is that you can get deported for this. I mean, this is a serious problem right now for people who are out there like, man, I registered to vote. That was 10 years ago. I'm going to go ahead and check this box. Yes. I can't give you advice, right? We're not giving you advice, but this is a deportable offense as a permanent resident. And previously, if our client voted, 5 years later, or if they got their green card based on marriage, 3 years later, when we apply for U.S. citizenship, and it's been 3 years since they've registered. So number one, immediately when we find out about this, and we tell our client when we find out about this, immediately unregister yourself, right? Immediately unregister yourself. If you've actually voted, then you have to wait those 3 or 5 years, or if in the military, 1. But right now, I mean, I don't know. Everything's on a case-by-case basis. I don't know if I would advise people to file their N400 if they have registered to vote or voted. So again, this is on a case-by-case basis. But like, I mean, I saw a USCIS Instagram post. It was a woman in handcuffs. You know, they only show the back, right? Go check out USCIS Instagram or Facebook posts. Like these things are crazy. And it said, this Jamaican national was applying for U.S. citizenship, and she illegally registered to vote and voted in a federal election. We don't allow this in the United States. We're getting rid of, you know, it was just this like big thing, which just blew my mind because, you know, with the previous cases that we've had this with, everybody knows that there's even a memo about this, about DMV having people register to vote, and it's just this problem. So, you know, after seeing that, and just not even, I mean, didn't have to see that, but just with what this administration is doing and making examples out of people for something that could have been a harmless mistake.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like so case by case basis, I'm so glad that you're here. if you haven't applied for U.S. citizenship, or if you're talking to a friend or family member who this could impact, you got to think twice. And I'm not saying not to, but I'm saying please lawyer up.
Yeah, lawyer up for sure. This is I don't know, for any of you who are old enough out there to remember Lost in Space, this is a danger Will Robinson situation where the robot would tell him that there was danger, warn him.
Yeah, John has said this danger Will Robinson.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, come
John's
on.
older.
Hopefully somebody.
John is older than me.
Yeah.
So he's way older. He's not way older, but I'm gonna
That's right.
throw the young. I'm a young person compared to.
She came just after the Lost in Space time period.
Lost in Space. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you definitely want to be really careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just as Radlin said, as a general rule, thank you for bringing that question to everyone, because be careful. Departments of motor vehicle, whatever state you're in, that's also a danger Will Robinson situation, because they're like having people just checking boxes. Be careful. Don't accidentally sign up to vote. All right.
This is the live will end in 5 minutes. We are actually past the 9 o'clock hour, but I would love to answer the next question.
Okay. The next question, last question of the night. I have temporary 551 pending, I-751. Can I travel?
Yes, you can travel so long as your I-750 receipt is within the time frame of your green card. So if you got your I-751 receipt, so this is a person who has filed the petition to remove the conditions on their 2-year conditional resident card. And when you file the I-751 petition, USCIS will issue a receipt notice to you. And that receipt notice, again, like the I-90, is going to extend your lawful permanent resident card. I believe right now it's 48 months. So long as you have that piece of paper, your expired green card, and your passport, of course, to come back into the United States, then you should be good to go. But again, have a professional look at your documents. I'm not looking at your documents. I'm assuming that you're going to look at this, but don't just take my word for it. Look at your I-751 receipt. Look at what it says. Look at the date on your I-751 receipt, and make sure that it's all good. But that receipt should allow you to travel. Just make sure you look at it. Or if you are represented by an attorney, ask that attorney to take a look. They don't have to take a look. Like if one of our clients said, hey, can I travel on I-751? We pull up the 751 and just make sure that they are good to go. Now, little caveat. Are you still with the spouse who petitioned for you? Now, a lot of people have an I-751 pending, but sometimes the marriage breaks up, right? Or there's a separation, like, oh, we need time. If you leave the United States, that question may come up. Are you still with your husband or your wife who filed the petition? If you say no, then you may be getting into it. I'm not saying like you're not going to be allowed into the United States, but I'm just saying that if you are separated and if you jointly filed the I-751, just make sure that you have an answer for why that is and why it was still a bona fide and lawful marriage, and what you guys are planning on doing. All right. Okay. That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you for joining us. Thanks everybody on Facebook Live, everyone on TikTok. Yeah, great questions on TikTok. Great questions. And guys, what we like to say is when you ask these questions, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping the community. And so thank you so much for that. Yep. We love the questions. We will see you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday. 8 o'clock. All right. Bye. 2 thumbs up. Rock and roll. Everyone. Have a great night. All righty. Take care. Bye-bye.